Hello. I don't know if you all hear me. I hope you can. I'm here with the lovely Aiden Paladin, with Mr. Metokur and Mauritian Struggle, and we're going to be having a live stream chat. This is the first time I've ever hosted one. So, Aiden, gentlemen, please be gentle with me. Don't put me too much on the spot. Don't make me do anything computer related that is too complicated for my poor little brain. And yeah, let's get started. Let's all
intellectually lube up.
Intellectually lube up. Aiden, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey guys, well, we've talked before. You've been on my channel. I'm Aiden Paladin. That's also the name of my channel. And Altana Volt. Hey guys. Hey guys, well, we've talked before.
Hello?
Hello? Did I cut out?
I don't know what happened.
I think we cut out momentarily.
Yeah. That was weird.
I think we did cut out.
No, we're still live. We're still live by the looks of it.
Okay, we're still live. Oh, okay. So, Aiden, go ahead, finish up what you were saying.
Oh, I just said that's my channel. I'm into social science and politics, I guess. Altana Volt. What's up?
Mauritian?
Hello, I'm Mr Struggle. I just run a little channel here on YouTube where I basically place all my weaponized autism for your entertainment. And it's very small, but it's growing quite quickly. Just generally whatever I want to talk about, I talk about. And that's pretty much it.
And Jim?
I'm Brightside Bob, and I talk about DSP. It's nice to be here. It's great.
Well, Brightside Bob wanted to talk about Equifax. So I think we should get started with that particular kerfuffle that's going on.
Yeah, so I don't know how familiar everybody is with Equifax or what happened. I mean, most people know that it was hacked. They're not giving out a lot of details that happened between May and July. 144 million people have been affected, everything from social security numbers to addresses to full names. Apparently has been taken, or at least had access to. They don't know how much was taken. But the information that's come out over the last couple of days in relation to it is really scary and fascinating. The first thing was Equifax put up a website right away so you could check to see if you were affected or not. But an Ars Technica article talked about it, saying that the website they were using was a basic WordPress blog, basically. It wasn't secure, and they wanted you to basically enter, to basically enter the majority of your social security number to be able to get information. So their response to a hack was putting up an unsecure page for you to check if you were hacked, which is just mind-boggling. But it's not surprising when you find out that the chief information security officer for the company, Susan Malden, I believe, is a music major who apparently, I have no idea how you hire a music major to be your person in charge of information security, but they went with it.
Well, she's a woman. That means she deserved the job. You sexist
of course,
pig.
Yeah, of course. And it's ironic that this happens a month after James Damore was let go by Google for talking about, you know, the benefits of hiring based on merit rather than sex to fill a quota. And here we are with one of the potentially largest financially sensitive data hacks that's ever happened. And the person in charge of the security for the company was a diversity hire with no expertise in the field. She got a job at, I think, Hewlett Packard, and there was no real explanation how she went from being a music major to working at Hewlett Packard as a information security officer, and then getting later on hired by Equifax to be their chief, you know, in charge of it. It's mind-boggling.
It's not mind-boggling when you understand exactly why James Damore was fired.
Wait. Just to clarify, this woman, a music major, I mean, she had a BA, not even an engineer, you know, what the hell is she doing in information technology? I mean, how the hell did that happen?
I have no idea. I have no idea how she went from one company to another like that. I don't know how she went from being, you know, fresh out of college with her BA or master's in music to getting into information security at companies like HP, and then later on at one of the three largest credit union reporting agencies like Equifax. It's staggering to me.
I mean, I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how, because they don't ask questions. They see, you can put anything you want on your resume, and honestly, they won't ask. I don't know why it made me think of this, but Jim, since you do a lot of, what would I call it, investigation of really fucked up online communities, you are surely aware of Homestuck, I'm positive.
Yeah.
Do you know that they hired somebody for that? And I believe it was a woman who had absolutely no experience to make their game, who had no experience, which is like an artist, to be their lead programmer. It was the same thing. She's like, I just want to do this, and I said that I had experience in it. It doesn't matter if I actually did or not. You're a woman, so there you go. It's the exact same thing. Like, yeah, basically, it's the pussy pass. If you just say, I want to do this thing, if you don't hire them, well, then you're sexist. And you know what? They can actually take you to court for that shit. And I know enough about human resources, having a minor in it, not a lot, in some experience. You can't ask them too many questions about their resume, because if you do, it gets into illegality.
Well,
So
see, this is why I've always looked at, you know, like Blockbuster went under, right? I've talked to people who always talked about using Blockbuster on their resume and saying they worked at corporate, because there's no way to check it, because the company's defunct. It doesn't exist. So, yeah, I worked at Blockbuster. I was a VP of communications. How are they ever going to track that down?
Exactly.
So maybe she did something like that. But the amount of people that are going to be affected by this is the damage this is going to do if that gets into the wrong hands will have an impact on the economy for decades.
It's not the first time this has happened. A couple years ago, was it 5-6 years ago? Basically, like, anyone who was associated with government employees had all of their social security numbers hacked by the Chinese, I believe. I only know that, I don't know the details of that. I only know it happened because my dad works for the US government, and they were like, yeah, your information is public now, essentially. Everything.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And that happened to everyone who was a government employee. And by the way, because I'm his daughter, it meant my social security and all my information also, and his wife and all that kind of stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all public now.
Jesus.
Well, now nothing's happened, as far as I know.
I heard that the people who hacked this information from Equifax are asking $2.5 million, which for a company that, Jim, you mentioned that they had $3.5 billion in revenue. Well, $2.5 million is chump change. You know, it's it's weekend. You know, it's sofa money.
That amount of money makes me think that this was probably an unprofessional attack. That this was, maybe they were using because we had so much kit that got released, like the CIA, the NSA had a lot of their hacking stuff get released. So maybe it's some kid or some fly-by-night operation that found a backdoor through some associated website and got the information. But if you have 144 million social security numbers, addresses, full names, employment history, all that information, why would you even go to Equifax? You could go and sell that on the black market, go on tour, sell it to whoever you want to sell it to.
Exactly.
And make so much money.
Think about selling it piecemeal. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like in the practical sense of actually how to make money with all that information. If I had like, a hard drive with all that information, how would I, want to get money securely, quickly, and not have to hassle it? I mean, it's like when you get a kilo of cocaine, you don't want to be selling it, half a gram at a time, right?
I mean,
well, they're going to have information. They'll have access to information that'll basically, what they could do is cherry pick. I'm going to take people with really high credit scores who have no credit, lines open. So somebody who's got like an 800 FICO score and no credit cards, and then I'm going to sell that identity to somebody, and they're going to go open a shit ton of credit lines in their name, order online, and never get caught.
I have shit credit. Can't fuck with me, bitches.
Yeah, right. The only people that are going to be safe are people who have terrible credit or NEETs who don't do anything, and their information's not out there.
Both. Great. Really, but yeah, like it's exactly the thing that's it's going to absolutely fuck the the people who are most valuable in this.
The thing is, how do they keep it quiet? I mean, this was between May and June, was it? How do they keep it quiet over the summer?
Oh, you want to hear the best part? I left out the best part.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, between May and July is when the hack happened. But after the hack was known to the Equifax executives, they sold their stock before they went public.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. Yes.
That must be against the law.
It is. It's insider trading. There's no way they're going to get away with that. It's too blatant.
No, actually, it's criminal. I think they can get into a lot of trouble.
They know exactly how fucked it is. They were just so desperate to try and get out. It's like, well, we're already going to be fucked in the ass. Let's try one desperate attempt.
Fuck me.
Because their stock valuation dropped 20 a share right after the news came out. I mean, it went from like 142 to 121.
Yeah. They took a hit, and that kind of insider trading is so blatant that the SEC would have to prosecute and make an example of them. No way they can let that one slide over something this big, this scandalous. No way they can let it slide. I'm saying that, but at the same time, in 2008, And 2009 and 2010, after all the crap that came out following the global financial crisis, you know, the rope signing and all the rest of it, and in the end, they didn't prosecute anybody. So me saying that they are going to prosecute and they should prosecute doesn't mean that they'll actually do it, because, you know,
Very true.
Well, I want to see
they-
how the UK and Canada respond, because it wasn't just American financial information that was taken. Canadian citizens and British citizens were affected too.
Canadians and Brits who had social security numbers or tax
No, their
identification
financial
numbers?
information, if they were somehow associated with a business or a company that used Equifax in any way, their financial information could have been a part of this.
Oh, I see. I see.
So if you work for a small company that's US based and you're in the UK and you give your financial information, whatever that happens to be, that information is now open to be taken.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I haven't even looked into see, because again, I think, yeah, you said it's a coin flip as to whether or not you were affected.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
50-50.
looked into it because, like I said, I have shit credit, so I don't think I'm going to be targeted. By
I
it.
think you'll be okay. I think
And
everybody.
my Social Security was already stolen by China. So like, you know, whatever. I think I'm already fucked either way, and it doesn't matter. But you know, and I think it matters. That's the same thing for everybody. There's nothing you can do about it, and yeah, you're probably a 50-50 chance of being fucked. How depressing,
No,
though.
I think that,
Yeah, when half a country gets screwed for a diversity hire, like what the fuck?
Right, it's remarkable, isn't it? It's absolutely fucking remarkable.
It's just like
nobody's going to mention about the diversity hire. I actually had no idea about the head of information security being a diversity hire. I don't think that information is being pushed very hard. I mean, it goes against the narrative, as it were.
Right. Well, I mean, they'll probably have a dodge out of it and say it was a related website. But, you know, the interviews that she gave previously talking about what it's like to be in that position and the responsibilities they have, somebody asked her the question, how comfortable are you know, chief information security officers? Do you sleep at night? And she's like, oh, 90% of us do, because we're so secure in how we're handling things. We don't lose any sleep over it. And that's from 1 year ago with her talking about that. So
Well,
that's just unfucking real. But
at least
it's just disastrous.
oh dear.
Oh, God.
Well, look, across the economy, we're seeing a lot of these diversity hires that are basically of incompetent people who just, you know, tick off boxes, right, on the diversity shopping list, right? When do you think, when do you guys, all of you, this is an open question, when do you all think that people are going to, the private enterprise is going to realize, shit, we're getting fucked by incompetent people. We can't afford this anymore. Because we look at across various industries where the whole push for diversity and all the rest of it is hurting the bottom line and hurting companies. I mean, Equifax here, and you know, and I always follow diversity in comics, and he goes on and on about the comic book industry, about how it's being destroyed by this whole diversity stuff.
Yeah.
End, or do you think it won't end?
I think it's coming to a head. You know, speaking of that very much, what was it? It was for Mass Effect Andromeda, and they removed all this. They scrubbed it, like they're going to scrub this woman being the... This is a much bigger deal, obviously, and not really comparable. But with Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a big video game that people were excited for, if you know anything about it, the character animations were absolutely abysmal. And for a while, there was this woman who had herself listed. Now, it was herself listed, I believe, on LinkedIn as the lead character animator or lead character modeler.
Sorry. I'm sort of like a non-geek geek. So
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
So Mass Effect Andromeda was a really big game that came out last year, or was it early this year? And there was a woman who had herself listed as lead character animator, I believe, on her LinkedIn. The character animations in the game were hilarious. Okay, they were really funny looking. They were so bad, and after, you know, it came out like, this is so terrible, people found her LinkedIn, they scrubbed that information from that too. She was obviously a diversity hire, and they said, no, she's not the lead. And she had no experience. She came out from nowhere. So yeah, they scrubbed that information too. And I imagine, you know, it's a very obviously different thing, but in the same effect, and as you're talking about diversity in comics and what he talks about, it's true. People are starting to notice it though, and they can't hide this forever. People are starting to actually notice that this diversity hire shit doesn't work. That what James Damore was talking about was legitimate. You cannot beat women into wanting to be in these roles and being good at them if they don't have any interest in it. Women who are actually you know, interested in technology and STEM, they will go into it on their own accord. You can't beat it into women and then give them the jobs with no merit. That will not produce good results.
Yeah, but you're thinking that it's coming to a head.
I think it is, because I think normies are waking up a little bit to being like, well, Jesus Christ, half the population of the country and people even in Canada and the UK are going to get dicked over this, over a fucking diversity hire.
You think the same?
I think it's a problem. I mean, the thing that really surprises me the most about the music major thing is they could have put a woman in that position who actually had experience in the industry, but they didn't. This is somebody that came from another corporation who somehow got her foot in the door there. Nobody did a decent background check. Nobody did a resume check. Nobody quizzed her about her ability.
The ultimate irony for Equifax, yeah.
Right, because they were probably worried that if they did, it would, you know, appear badly for them. They'd look sexist, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, you know, even as far as like a diversity hire goes, it was a terrible choice. It's a fucking music major working in information security. What the fuck was Equifax thinking? But yeah, I agree. I think it is starting to come to a head. I think people are starting to question, do we want people in positions because they're good at the job, or do we want them because we want to fill a quota? And what kind of results do we get when we quota fill versus when it's based on merit?
I would say look at the response to James Damore's memo. So much. Did you see it? I don't remember who produced it. It wasn't BuzzFeed, but it looked like a BuzzFeed video. I think it was an actual news outlet of all these women that were reading the memo, and they were like on the verge of tears while just reading it. And then, of course, you know, they had to take the day off after they read it at Google because they needed to prove how women aren't hysterical or aren't prone to hysteria. So, because we're so not hysterical that we have to take the day off. That is hilarious. And they're such a mockery of themselves. You have to be so indoctrinated into this cult of ideology to not see that. I think people are getting it because it's funny. It's frank. I mean, if it wasn't so fucked up and sad, it would be hilarious. I mean, it's still funny a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where to take this conversation so far as this is concerned, because it's just it's stupefyingly horrifying. This thing. That sounded an awkward phrase, but the whole Equifax of, like, as I said before the stream started. You know, this is basically the deep state Facebook account. You know, it's with everybody's information about everything, and God knows it could be a couple of 20-something losers who stumble upon all that hacking gear that the NSA let slip through the door with former employees. And by the way, nobody's talking about that. It was sort of like a blip on the horizon, and then the fact that all these tools are out there, running free, as it were, and nobody's saying anything about that, and nobody's wondering if the two are connected. I mean, is anybody saying that, or what?
Yeah, it's weird. It seems like certain information when it comes to light is just glossed over or not talked about, either because it's unpopular or because they don't want the result of the conversation to change people's viewpoints. And so it's like a lie by, it's omitting things. You know what I mean? Leaving it out of the conversation intentionally because you don't want people to have a reaction that you can't control to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, this whole thing is just sad. Really, I mean, yeah, it's funny, but sad. Because there's also, what recourse does anyone have here? We're already screwed. There's nothing anybody can do. It's out there. It's out there. There's nothing anyone can do about this. Which makes it a weird thing to talk about because normally, like with a lot of political issues or something, you can be like, well, what could we do to fix it? Oh, here, fuck. There's nothing.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, there's nothing people can do about this. I mean, the only hope that anybody in this country has, the half of the country that would have got screwed over by this, is that the government somehow is able to find out who did it and prevent them from moving that information. But they have no idea who it is.
That's not
right? I mean, it could be a kid that thought it was funny. It could be a foreign government. It could be a state actor. They have no idea who did it.
Right, and I'm guessing
And
that the fact that this happened 3 months ago and they still haven't found who the culprits, the people who actually have this information, probably means that they're never going to find out who has this information.
Yeah.
The astounding thing is, I wonder if you turn on CNN right now, what are they talking about? Are they talking about this, or are they talking about Trump and Russia?
Probably talking about Trump and 3 scoops of ice cream or some shit.
Right.
Yeah, Trump stole like breaking news. Trump stole fucking kid off a shit off a baby or some shit, you know?
Their current way that they're doing this, they've moved that Trump-Russia narrative so far that's like, well, a couple years ago, Trump was trying to build a hotel in Russia, and that proves collusion. It wasn't built, and the deal didn't go through, but collusion. That's proof of hacking. Therefore, this is going to be completely...
My honest opinion about Trump is I don't think he's going to last a year. I think that he's just going to throw in the towel at some point, because I think that he's just, he's just going to say, well, why deal with this shit and just quit?
No, see, I don't see that happening. I think he's got a stubborn streak. I think even if he wanted to throw the towel in, he will keep going at it just to spite them.
Yeah, but the thing is, see, the thing that he wants the most is precisely the respect of these people who despise him and are throwing shit his way every day. I mean, and I think that the guy never expected to win. I think that
could be very well true. But I think
that's
I think he takes after his father. I mean, there was an interview he did on 60 Minutes before he put his hat in the ring for this, where they're talking about his dad and the influence he had. And his father was like, never be defensive, always be on the attack, don't take shit from people, crush people that get in your fucking way. If you're standing at the end, you're a winner. Right. And I think that's the mentality he has. And even if he doesn't get the respect, I think he sees it as fuck Washington and fuck politicians. They hate me here, so I'm going to stay here just to piss them off.
I know that the problem is that I think he does want their respect. That's why he keeps doing this, and that is a major pitfall for him. Yeah, that he wants the media to respect him, even though he keeps shit talking them. But it's like he doesn't understand. I think on some level that if they're never, it doesn't matter. You are never, ever, ever. These people are so despondent that they are, and I mean many people on the left, not just the mainstream media, but certainly them. They are never going to respect you. They're never going to approve of your presidency. They're going to fight till the bitter end to try and get you removed. So just fuck off with it. Stop trying to appease them. It will never work. I think I
completely agree.
I think but it's hard for him because yet I think he does want the respect very much. So it's hard for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's,
and he reacts negatively by firing everybody in this fucking in the White House who had any positive influence.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. I mean, from an organizational standpoint, his White House is a complete mess. He keeps firing everybody, and so how can you have any kind of administrative stability in order to pursue the policy goals that you have? And also the other thing that this guy, he won, yeah, sure, and everybody says that he's, especially Six Hexenhammers, claims that he's playing 4D chess. But the thing is, he's not actually, getting any policies that he wants. They're not coming out of the Congress as bills, as legislature that can be signed and implemented.
Well, here's Trump on the repeal and replace not happening. That's fucking John McCain's fault. Fuck McCain.
Well, that's what I think he's doing. That's actually smart. I think what he's doing, I think the approach he's taking is to try to implement law changes and put it basically back into the House and the Senate. Like, I'm not going to let DACA go through. You guys fix it. And when they fail to do it, it makes them look bad. I don't want Obamacare. You guys fix it. And when they fail to do it, it makes them look bad. I think he's playing a game where he's putting it on them. He takes the heat initially, but in the end, they look bad because they can't come together and create a common consensus on how to go forward.
Yeah. The thing is that it's not, most people, I would say, do not have the political acumen to understand that, because I see everyone saying that, like, oh, Trump couldn't get Obamacare replaced. That must mean it's Trump's fault. Like, they have so little understanding of how politics American politics. It's either intentional or it's either intentionally being intellectually dishonest or just being stupid. I don't know which it is sometimes.
No, about Trump and the way he's moving forward, it seems to me that what you're saying, it could be interpreted as a deliberate ploy, excuse me, But from my sense, it could be that he's simply just, you know, playing whack-a-mole and just hitting it whatever pops up, and it's just turned out that way, but not in a deliberate sense. I don't feel that the guy is driving his administration. He sort of seems to be being buffeted by the winds as they come,
Yes.
and just reacting as opposed to being proactive.
Exactly. I think the thing with the thing with Trump, watching his actions over the last year, I suspect that he's one of these people who didn't really like. I mean, he obviously had his campaign promises and he knew what was popular, but I think internally he didn't necessarily have the desire to take power in order to do something with it. I suspect he is somebody who wishes for power's sake. So that's maybe why he's not being as effectual as we perhaps expected.
I don't know if it's that kind of implies. I mean, we know he is an egotist. I think that's honest. I very happily voted for the man, but also because I supported him so hard, I'm critical of him as well. Because who has more to lose than me in that case, or than anyone who voted for him? Yeah, I think that it's. Look, he's surrounded by neocons. He's used to running a business where he can fire people who don't live up to his expectations. That doesn't work in politics in the same way. You need to keep some people around you, I think, who are going to have a more and I'll tell you this about Trump. He is a family businessman, as Jim mentioned, about like the effect of his father. This is why he trusts, you know, his family. He trusts his family first. That doesn't mean they're good influence, but he trusts them first because he thinks that they're in his court, that they're, you know, rooting for him. Mm-hmm. Not smart. But based on his experience, I understand why he does that. Because I mean, everything about his campaign even was like, who supported him first and foremost was his family. Who supported him in his business? His family.
Well, perhaps. But I wanted to turn a little bit back to something. Jim, I want to ask you something. I'm totally turning the conversation off to another topic, but it's something that's fascinated me. You recently had the rub-a-dub-dub episode on your channel, okay, and I've never been quite as laughing so hard or as horrified as I was by that conversation. I just want to ask you, I think that this is a question a lot of people want to ask. I know that Aiden and I have talked about you in this regard, is how do you find this shit? I mean, it's how do you find it? Please explain.
Sometimes people will send a link. Sometimes I'll stumble across it on an image board or forum. With like in Ross particularly, I came across his live stream right as he was talking about looking up videos of naked kids in bathtubs, and then trying to deny it. And then within 10 seconds, somebody responded to him saying, "Well, you said you had a problem and you were getting help with it." So that really piqued my interest, and I go on there, and it just devolves into a shit show from there. This guy's got. He tried to throw everybody else under the bus to make himself look better, but it made him look worse because, he went from a guy looking up these kind of videos to now suddenly associating with people that were self-identified as pedophiles and hebophiles, according to him. Talking about how he did this every week, a couple times a week for years, and saying that, I'm looking up naked kids because I think they're cute and funny like cats and dogs and I want to be a dad. That's so bizarre, and it just didn't ring true. And him talking about stuff like, I had a therapist, but I had to let my therapist go because they were going to call the police because I was talking to a friend who was going to come over. Like, it's just, I don't know how to peg him. I don't know what his issue is. I would suspect that he's probably schizophrenic based on some of the stuff I've heard. Maybe a sociopath. I don't know. But,
wait, how old is this guy?
He's 20, 19 or 20.
Jesus Christ,
all the people involved in this are adults. None of them are teenagers. None of them are kids. Him, his friend Ruby, her boyfriend, his other friends, they're all adults. And it's just bizarre. But like looking through the videos where he's talking about his grandmother's yelling at him because he lives with her. You need to take a shower. You need to get clean. He hasn't done it in 3 to 4 weeks. It's stuff like that that makes you go, holy shit, what the fuck is the story with this guy? But he alternates between playing the victim and acting like he's being bullied, and then screaming his head off about murdering people and doxing them and destroying their lives. So it's like this weird spectrum he exists on. But yeah, it's just, I don't know how to react to that. You come across somebody talking about this shit and you're like, okay, let me ask a few questions, and then they lose their mind about it.
How'd you come across that channel in the first place?
I believe somebody linked it to me. People were talking about this guy for a couple of days, and I had some time to kill, so I probably clicked the link, and then right as I popped on, he's talking about this shit. You know, I've dealt with one subject similar to this before, which was Nick Bate, who was a guy that tried to prove to a judge that he didn't molest his stepsister by filming himself masturbating with shit.
Yes, that was horrifying.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh
Yeah,
God.
that was his legal defense. He filmed himself jacking off to shit and wanted to send it to the judge as proof that he wasn't a pedophile. I don't know how that works, but in his mind, it did. You know,
I think
went to
his
prison.
Autism is a choice.
I think he was trying to show that he was only into shit and not into kids or something. Was his word?
Yeah, it must have been that must have been his rationale. You know, like no, shit turns me on, not children.
Look that guy up.
You know.
Look, here's what I want you to do. In your mind, you guys who don't know who Nick Bate is, imagine what you think this guy looks like, and then go look at a picture of him and see how it matches up.
Okay, well, whatever it is. The thing though that sort of like that scares the shit out of me, to tell you the truth, is, and because it scares me because I'm the father of 2 small children, that pedophilia is becoming normalized. That freaks me out. You know, famously there was a couple of articles on Salon. You know, one titled, you know, "I'm the pedophile, you're the monster," and it was just good God. And it seems as if the society
It's been removed.
Yeah, they scrubbed it
After Milo.
They removed everything.
Yeah, I wonder why.
They couldn't. Yeah, because they couldn't, you know, run that with a straight face after tarring Milo as a pedophile. Whereas if you actually, okay, this is I'd ask you guys. I listened to what Milo said, and what Milo seemed to me. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He seemed to be saying that when he was a teenager realizing that he was a homosexual, he basically engaged in homosexual activity with older men, but he from his point of view, it was with complete consent on his part, and he did not feel that he had been abused.
Yeah, George Takei said the same
whether it is, you know,
you're a little bit robot-y, but George Takei said the same thing, and George Takei is a hero of the left, so nobody gave a shit when he said the same fucking thing.
George Takei makes me cringe.
The other thing is that the thing that they were mad at Milo about, and you can be mad at him if you want, is that he said that he was involved in these Hollywood parties where there were young boys who were being molested, essentially. I mean, it's absolutely statutory rape. But everyone in Hollywood has now come out and said this is a thing that happens, but you know, Brad Pitt has done it and said, like, this shit happens in Hollywood. But because Milo was a conservative, and, you know, think about him whatever you like, I have issues with him as well. It was because he was a conservative. We can hang him on this, but means we also have to remove
and also
our
the thing is
pedophile article.
All of these articles came out at the same time. It was sort of like a repeat of the Gamergate thing, right? That all the press came up with stories, and those stories take time to write, and they were all lined up, and they all went out at the same time from all these different mediums. It was a hit job, and it was a semi-coordinated hit job. As to the inside information as to how that coordination happened, I would not have any information about that. But going back a little bit to the business of our society is normalizing it, and I find it incredibly troubling. And especially with this push to have transsexuality of children, sort of like, you know, if a child, you know, an underage minor who doesn't know anything, right? They believe in Santa Claus, for crying out loud. If they decide that they're of the opposite of their biological sex, then you have to treat them. And it seems insane to me. And I'm wondering, when this is going to stop? You know, the police is coming for me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Google doesn't like the content of your stream. They've decided to silence you by sending the cops.
Yeah, the London Metropolitan Police. Yeah, I mean the Google Metropolitan Police. Yeah, but seriously, how is this going to end? Because people keep saying it's a moral panic, but
it's not a moral panic. It's going to end with the sexualization of children. I don't think it. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? If you create the scenario where you say that children are able to identify what they want to be as far as gender goes, I feel like I'm a girl because of this. I feel like I'm a boy because of this. You're setting a stage. You're opening that conversation. You know, my default position is kids are idiots. You know, one day they want to be a fireman, the next day they want to be a spaceman. They don't know what the fuck they want to be. We don't let kids drive cars. We don't let kids vote. We don't let kids smoke or drink. We don't let kids shoot guns. We don't let them sign up for the military. We don't have them get jobs. We don't let them pay taxes, because we all understand from a societal level that children are fucking stupid and that they haven't developed enough to be able to make reasonable decisions. And so when you're faced with a culture that is starting to push not just, gender identity, but child sexualization, you're opening the door for the argument to be made. I ironically enough brought this up on a stream that I was on with Milo and with Sargon like 2 years ago, where I said, when you start seeing them push terms like pedosexuality, rather than just calling them pedophiles or child molesters, that's when you know it's gone full tilt. Yep. And I think they're trying to edge it towards that. As far as like the Milo thing goes, I think a lot of people were really bothered, not so much with him talking about having sex with a priest, but yeah, the Hollywood parties. I mean, this is going on right when Pizzagate, you know what I mean? With all that shit's being talked about and pedo woods being talked about. And Milo just casually mentions that, oh, I was at parties where kids were in Hollywood and getting, fucked by older men. And everybody's like, why aren't you talking about that? So yeah, I can understand the frustration and anger with that.
Yeah, but that was 2 years ago that he mentioned that. I mean, he hadn't hit it big yet. I mean, he was on his way, but he hadn't hit it big when it was on the Joe Rogan show, right?
You're forgetting when he was going to give a presentation about Pizzagate. He said he received a phone call from somebody in Washington telling him, not yet, don't talk about it. So he canceled that. So there's weird shit in regards to this, and I don't know. But I find it funny that the Reagan Battalion, who I really do believe is behind the opposition report on Milo that did all this, I find it funny they would have spent $250,000 to get information which is publicly fucking available. These are 2 YouTube streams that have been on YouTube for 2 years. You're right, Joe Rogan and the Amazing Atheist podcast. So the fact they're paying that kind of money to get that information where they could just fucking Google it is staggering to me. I'll do opposition report. Reagan Battalion, if you're listening, I will do your opposition reports for you for $250,000 and send you all the fucking YouTube links you want.
Yes.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for a job. I'll do that.
Actually, if I needed Oppo research, you'd be the guy to call. Yes, definitely. But I going back to the sexualization of children, Jim, you're thinking that this is baked in, and we're not going to be taking a step back. Is that basically your bottom line? That children are going to be sexualized and pedophilia or something not called pedophilia, pedosexuality, or whatever they want to call it.
Well,
that's going to be.
Look at how society has evolved over the last 50 years. When we talk about gay rights or transsexual rights, people would bring up the argument of, well, you can't say that it's going to keep getting more and more extreme because it's a slippery slope fallacy, which is a legitimate thing. But just because a fallacy exists describing a scenario doesn't mean that scenario can't fucking happen.
Exactly.
The same condemnation that we used against homosexuals in the 50s and transsexuals in the 80s and 90s disappeared as society became more tolerant. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm saying the arguments used against those two groups are the same arguments that are being used against pedophiles. Right. It's disgusting, it's immoral, it's anti-religious, all these reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that, where do we go from here? I mean, there are really only 3 things left, aren't there? I mean, you've got bestiality, you've got incest, and you've got pedophilia. So
incest is in the rearview mirror. Ever since Catherine Harrison's book, The Kiss, back in '97, the incest is pretty much normalized. People don't talk about it, but everybody says, oh, well, if it's consenting adults, I don't see the problem. Do you hear anybody arguing against incest? Because of the whole issue
you're going to be called a bigot. You're going to be called a bigot, and they're going to tell you that, the data really show, because this is true, though. This is the truth. That honestly, even if you interbreed with a direct relative, the chances of your kids being all kinds of weird mutants is not extremely high. It happens more from generations of that. And given the genetic diversity that we have right now, it would probably take like at least 2 generations of complete interbreeding. Now, you still have a higher risk for weird genetic problems when you intermarry with a relative.
Sure.
So that's the kind of data they'll cite. They'll say, oh, sure, it's fine. It's not weird at all. And you know what? Actually, there's I'm trying to remember the accurate term, which is that because there's a sort of homophily of people who are similar to us that we are attracted to. We are always birds of a feather of humans who are attracted to people who, generally speaking, look and act similar to us. for example, brothers and sisters who are raised in different homes, if they meet each other as adults, and not just brothers and sisters, mothers and sons, for example, who meet each other after years, tend to be attracted to each other because of the homophily. It's actually something that is very weird, but it's because we're attracted to people similar to us. Gross. Well, no, again, the argument is gross. Gross. We have like an inherent thing about us is like, this is not right, and we know why it's not right, because somewhere in our genetic background, we know, like, yeah, if you do that shit, you're gonna have fucked up mutants.
No, actually, there's a study. I forget where it is, but it seems that the trigger to prevent that among siblings is when they're growing up, when they see one another defecating. I have no idea.
Not for Nick Bate.
Tell that to the judge, Nick. But anyway, yeah, I read that was the trigger. But look, right now we're living in the deregulated sexual marketplace. And what does that mean? It means basically that you can have sex with whomsoever you want, so long as basically 3 conditions are met. Number 1, you're sexually attracted to them. Number 2, both of you are on the same side of the age of consent. That is, if you're both under 18, that's fine. If you're both above the age 18 or 21 or whatever the age of consent is wherever you live, that's fine, socially and legally, really. And the third condition is that the other person that you want to have sex with actually wants to have sex with you, that there is consent on their part, right? And it seems that they're chipping away at the second limitation. They're already chipping away at the first limitation, that you have to actually be attracted to it. I mean, Dennis Riley is basically saying that, you know, if you're not sexually attracted to transphobic transgender people, then you're transphobic and you're evil bigot and you should die, Nazi scum. You know, and it seems as if, you know, your sexual desire is becoming a political issue. And on the other hand, insofar as the second condition of both being on the same side of the age of consent, we see it chipping away with this pedosexuality. I heard and I tweeted, and I forgot the name, of a couple of new terms for like sort of like cloverleaf or something like that.
4chan?
New terms for pedophile?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to rebrand it.
Yeah, they're trying to rebrand it. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think the new term is liberal.
Yeah, they said that one. I'd forgotten. It slipped my mind. Yeah, but it just freaks me out, and I'm trying to figure out if this is you, Jim. You're of the opinion that this is, you know, it's on its way, it's baked in. Aiden, what do you think? Or are we going there and then gonna be coming back, sort of like a yo-yo thing?
My take on that would be, 1 second, fucking truck. I think that this is going to be, much as we're coming to a head with this SW diversity hire things, this is going to be, MAP, that's it, minor attracted person. Someone in the trap said minor attracted person is the new term. I think this is going to be the hill they're either going to die on. I think it's the hill they're going to have to die on if they want to really go this far and include P in the LGBTQIAA plus thing. If they want to start including that in their acronym, it's going to alienate a ton of people, because anyone who understands anything about pedagogy or about child psychology understands that pedophilia is horrifying to children, that children cannot consent, that children do not understand sexuality, and that it fucks them up forever.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. But I think we have I think with this, I think that Metokur here is right, because there is historical precedent for these sorts of things, these sort of severe things happening to children. Like in Carthage, there was a lot of child sacrifice. So I don't see, especially considering what's happened over the past 50 years, in spite of a lot of evidence, I can see this happening. It might take a lot longer than what's happened with trans people over the last, say, 2-3 decades. But I wouldn't rule out that P actually becoming socially accepted.
Well, I think it's a, I do think it's baked in, but I think it's a self-solving problem. I think morality is going to chip away, and the arguments are going to be made in the favor of it. but I think that physical survivability is going to play a role in it. And what I mean by that is we're kind of on the cusp right now of a post-antibiotic world. And sexual liberation, which was preached to people from the 60s onward, about having as many partners as you wanted, about having experiences that you wanted, being free and liberated as an adult, kind of flew in the face of modern morality and, you know, societal norms. So people basically just fucked each other and they didn't really care. But I think that as we start to see, you know, STDs and diseases emerge that can't be treated anymore. I mean, we've got cases of gonorrhea that can't be treated. There's nothing that works on them. When that shifts from something like gonorrhea to something like syphilis, where it goes to your brain, it drives you crazy and you die, people are going to start freaking the fuck out. So I think we might see a return to very, very hardcore, conservative, traditional values, not because we hold that morality in esteem, but because we have no choice. And I think that's going to be what is the pushback against kind of the breakdown in our society, if you want to look at it like that. So I mean, I know that's like a weird conclusion, but I think that's where it's headed. Because we have no antibiotics. They're not going to really be able to engineer bacteriophages quickly enough. What are you going to do? Drink mercury? Inject yourself with, you know, like silver? You're pushed into a position where you can't just go out and fuck to your heart's content. And I think that as people stop doing that, sex is going to become less of a I'm liberated and progressive thing and more of a scary thing. And I think it's going to shift it back the other way.
Well, I talked about this a little bit when I talked about what the actual K factor is in terms of evolutionary social psychology. I don't want to get too much into that. I will be talking with Tilder, I think, next week about it. But we saw this with the introduction of oral contraceptives for women, which was that, yeah, you didn't have to really worry about shit anymore. And as we saw advances in medicine, you could just engage in all of these risk-taking behaviors as a woman. You didn't have to worry about fucking anything, did you? However, that catches up. It catches up socially, and now it's catching up physiologically and biologically. And you don't get away with cheating biology forever, I think.
No, certainly not.
Right.
I was actually thinking that what would catch up with us is the Muslim invasion of the Western democracies. That would happen before what you, Jim, are outlining insofar as diseases and what have you. That their hardcore moralism would take over, just as they are taking over our I mean, I'm very, everything ends, and my thinking is at this point that the Western democracies will end by way of being overrun by the Muslim population that we have imported and are allowing to overtake us. I mean, that's my thinking at this point. And their morality, their strict morality, and they're keeping women very very under the thumb of the Muslim patriarchy, because they really are patriarchal, right? I think that is going to be the end of our civilization and a return to a morality. It's going to be an Islamic morality, but at least, you know, they're not going to be having sex with children. Okay.
Well, if we're talking about, you might want to reconsider your point on that one.
I'm sorry.
Also, although Islam is a patriarchal society, a patriarchal system, we need to be aware that Islam is worse, I would say probably, or at least as bad towards fucking men as it is towards women. Men are the lowest they're lower than dirt in Islamic society because they're considered completely expendable. I don't like that idea. I mean, I understand it, why people like myself who wonder why these feminists don't ever bring up problems in the Muslim world. Well, they don't bring up men's issues at all, but men's issues in the Muslim world are completely fucked. And yes, they do fuck children. I mean, Aisha, who was Muhammad's favorite wife, was 7 when he married her. But hang on. He didn't fuck her till she was 11, I believe, or 12.
Oh, a gentleman. Yeah.
I know.
Oh shit! Oh shit! You let her get.
Yeah. Go, Muhammad. Yeah.
Oh, yes, a true gentleman. Cheers.
Tips turban.
Yeah, I don't know if it will fall to a caliphate. I think that there's a history for republics turning into empires. Maybe what we'll see is some kind of a radical nationalism taking root in the West. Whether that's like an American empire or some kind of European empire, I don't know. but maybe people will pull back from the idea of a worldwide caliphate and say that's not the direction we want to go. But regardless of if it's Western or Eastern or Middle Eastern, I really do think that we're going to be forced into a more conservative mindset, just because we're going to have to react to things that are happening as far as disease goes and just progressive attitudes go, and being able to kind of manage it and mitigate the damage that has on the economy and other things.
Yeah, because it makes sense to think that we're living in a window, the window of antibiotics, as it were, because antibiotics are unprecedented, and it has created a population boom because all these people who are alive because of antibiotics. But there is inevitably going to be a point where viruses and diseases will be resistant to any antibiotic we create. Also, the pharmaceutical companies are not investing much money in R&D insofar as antibiotics. Aiden, you'd be one to ask about this. Am I correct or incorrect?
About okay. So from what I understand about, now I'm not the person to ask about medical stuff. I'm a social psychologist, which is kind of like a joke. But from my understanding, though, the companies pay for this, big pharma. What they want drugs that are going to make them the biggest bang for their buck. The drugs that they put on the fast track are drugs that are going to make them the most money. Either because they're going to be sell them to more people. So, for example, everyone hates Martin Shkreli, right? Because, oh my God, he bought that AIDS medication and then drove up the price. Well, there were like 100 people using it. That's an exaggeration, but there weren't a lot of people using that particular medication, and actually him buying it and driving up the price made it possible for them to do more research into perfecting that medication so it was cheaper and easier to access. I know that makes people upset, but they don't like to look into the details of that. And I know Martin Shkreli is a very mustache twirly sort of guy in terms of how he's perceived publicly. But for example, there's this guy, Yoshio Obayashi, who's a comedian, but also one of the things that he does is he involves himself in medical studies. And it's absolutely true that they just want to put forward, what's going to sell. And they will fast track you. And by the way, they don't give a shit if you're actually qualified or if you have the disease. They just want to put that.
Wait, how do you say his name again? His last name, Martin what?
Shkreli?
Shkreli?
See, I thought it was like a cross between Shrek and Shekel. I kept calling him.
Well, I think I put the shekel in there a little bit. I think it's Shkreli. I have no clue. I only read things. I have no fucking idea.
Oh no, I don't know. I've never really listened to anybody pronounce it, so I wasn't sure.
Shkreli? Yeah.
To tell you the truth. Yeah. Well, a few years ago, I was peripherally involved a little bit in pharma thing. And what I understand is that what they're interested in is they are not interested in any kind of cure for any disease. They're interested in creating drugs for chronic conditions.
Yes.
Because for obvious reasons, a chronic condition, they take them forever. You solve a disease and, no more sales. And they want sales. That's the thing that they most want. Consistent sales over time. Right? It doesn't matter what the price of it is. It doesn't matter, if it's expensive or cheap drug. They just want to be feeding it forever, and they don't want any disease to be cured. Okay, because a cure is a killer of the drug, right? And so I know that is one of the reasons that they have not really invested much money in antibiotics, at least the companies that I was sort of like semi-familiar with, which were all in Latin America. But they were the representative of pharmaceutical companies around the world, and the big ones in the United States and in Western Europe. And so it seems that if some superbug develops, who here had to read that stupid book, Earth Abides, I think it was called? Where it was some novel about like the end of the world. It was sort of like The Stand. Well, some superbug pops up, It could happen in our lifetimes, although I think
all kinds of shit could happen in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
That would cause
all kinds of shit. We have Donald Trump as president, so yeah, all kinds of shit has happened. Oh, by the way, who... Show of hands, who believes that Donald Trump is responsible for Harvey and Irma?
Oh, do you want me to break out my notes?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, he was. He was also responsible for the earthquake.
Also,
in Mexico, because they don't want to put the wall.
Weather's racist.
Weather's racist. Yeah.
Where would I start?
Yeah, eclipses are racist.
Now,
no.
I know
the thing that blew my mind was that.
Okay, let's be real about the eclipse thing.
Honestly, I could not honestly believe that there were people on the left saying that the people in Texas and Florida had it coming over Trump.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe it. I mean, that is just insane thinking, you know. And
I've got
nobody,
a great one.
at least
I've got a
there's-
great tweet that I saved.
What?
It was the same fucking asshole who was saying, I think Ian Miles Strong retweeted it, where it was this guy being like, I hope all those Trump supporters in Texas die. And then 10 days later was like, oh, somebody please help me and my family in Florida. Fuck you.
Calm as the bitch.
Oh, that's just, yeah. Life changes pretty fast. Yeah.
Life comes at you fast.
That's just. Oh well. Anyway, break out your notes, Aiden. I know that you're dying there with your notes, so break them out.
I've got tons of notes on everything. I take notes for everything.
Oh.
A couple of things. Well, if we want to talk about, first of all, the idea of global warming, I think the whole idea that there's a 97% consensus is already dubious at best. It also relies on the fact that, I don't know how much I want to get into this. I got 2 pages of notes on global warming. And the idea, whatever, I don't know how much I want to go on. But your chat, they're going to call me a hole. Oh, that'll make them mad if I keep doing it. I'll go further. All right, these are my exact notes. Okay. Basically is that we are exiting a small ice age that ended in 1870, correct? So when you see that the temperatures have gone up since 1870, that's completely correct. The temperature absolutely has risen since 1870. I don't have the exact number. It's risen 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit over the last 100 years since the end of the last mini ice age. So 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit, the EPA estimates it may go up between 0.5 and 8.6, which is a big estimate, but the EPA has no fucking clue. And in fact, we know because consistently government estimates and models that are used to determine the increases in climate every single year have been wrong and overestimation. Every single year since 2000 that I have data on it, they have overestimated how much the climate would go up. So that 8.6 number, not sure about that one. Also, what everyone I think doesn't always know is that, like, everyone thinks this is the hottest the Earth has ever been. That's complete bullshit. We actually have very good reason to believe that not only we don't know, for example, how hot the Earth was in thousands of years, thousands and thousands and millions of years past, but all global climate scientists absolutely deny and reject the period between 950 and 1250, which is called the medieval warm period, wherein there was unprecedented growth both in population, in farming technology, and in, well, it's the fucking beginning of the Renaissance, whatever.
Oh, yeah, there was actually vineyards up in Yorkshire back then.
Yeah.
It was when grapes were introduced to the United Kingdom. Is this exact period, because they were not excellent there beforehand. Shit. So that whole, like, Al Gore's, like, hockey stick graph of going up, it intentionally, and everyone who says that is an idiot who is completely ignoring the medieval warming period. And in fact, when people have gone back and looked at the data that were involved in the collection of that, they found they, quote, lost the medieval warming period data. And the way that they collected that is they used they 390% oversampled, or at least overused, research on that assessed the tree ring data. The problem is that trees grow more both when there is more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and when it's warmer, right?
Yeah, because that was one of my objections to the whole global warming issue. Okay, so the Earth is warming up, so isn't that a good thing? I mean, it's going to be a more fecund ecology for all living organisms, so what's the big deal?
We don't even, okay, carbon dioxide is not inherently bad. It's good for trees. It's part of the process of photosynthesis. The whole idea of the 97% consensus among scientists is absurd. The original study that conducted this was between the 1993 and 2003 agreement it was a meta-analysis of studies conducted between 1993 and 2003. However, that consensus made all of those, across all of that supposed 97% consensus, not a single study made any kind of conclusion about whether or not the increased CO2 and the increased warming was good or bad for the environment. Cook also in 2012 did a similar meta-analysis of 12,000 papers in his meta, at which only 33% said anything. This is environmental studies papers. Only 33% said anything about man-made climate change. But they still, of all of those, made no claim about any harm to the environment associated with it. He still claimed 97%.
Okay.
However, However,
so hang on. Sorry to interrupt. I'm guessing
you
from all
asked me to go ham on my notes, man.
Yeah. Okay. But no, the thing that I'm interested in this topic is not so much of the issue of because it seems that it's pretty clear that it seems to be a load of bullshit. Okay, it's not so clear cut. So the issue becomes for me, and even if it were clear cut, it would actually long term could be beneficial for the planet. But for me, the question becomes, who is pushing this so hard? The climate, global warming. And why are they pushing it? What benefit? I mean, cui bono, right? That's the ultimate question. Who benefits?
Man, they're aiming for a global state. Fine.
Yeah, but the globalists, for what purpose? They want to use this as the thin end of the wedge in order to capture more regulatory power over the entire world. Is that the idea?
Well, two parties benefit. This is way outside my area of expertise, but if you're asking me who would benefit from pushing that, if it were a narrative, if it was just fictitious, who would benefit? One would be through carbon credits, right? Money. The other would be stifling development of a rising world powers. You know, America looks at China and says China is developing too fast, it's becoming too powerful. How can we stymie them? Well, we put forward the idea that global warming is an issue to hold back their industry by not letting them do what we did to get to where we are right now. That would be the two things I see at, carbon credits and trying to stifle developing nations.
Well, the carbon credit market blew up, and that's over, right? And essentially over. And insofar as stifling China, they can talk all they want, but the Chinese don't give a shit because, I mean, look at Beijing, right? I mean, it's like a soup over there, right?
Well, look at the Kyoto Accords.
I see your point, but I'm unclear as to how effective that would be.
Well, nobody's saying it's effective, but I mean, if that's the only two, I guess, beneficial outcomes for it that I could see was to stifle development of competitors and to try to tax and raise money from domestic businesses. Whether or not it worked out well for them, I couldn't say. And again, I know nothing about this subject, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up. But that's my 2 cents on that part.
Yeah, I actually don't know either.
I'm a complete ignoramus in this, but I'm really fascinated because it's just too much hysteria over this crap. And somebody has to be making a buck off of this.
I think, well, yeah, because they've got interest in foreign governments because they make money off of that. They make money off of taxing. I mean, this is why, look, okay, so you hate coal, you hate natural gas, you hate oil. Why do you also want to get rid of nuclear energy? There's not a lot of CO2 emissions there.
You know why? It's because it costs a lot of money to produce other alternative resources. It's relatively cost efficient to set up a nuclear power plant.
Sure is, isn't it?
Compared to making a huge fucking wind farm. And who's going to make a lot of money off these alternative energy sources? I mean, it's one thing like Billy Bob Joe fuck or whatever his name is, who's a fucking hipster, putting his solar panels on his roof, right? But if you're like getting governments paying for thousands of these thousands of miles of wind farms and solar farms and stuff, that is a lot of money coming in, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is. Look, they've ruined my state. They put these shitty fucking wind farms, which are I like to call them avian Cuisinarts. they just kill the fucking birds, man.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
And they don't produce a lot of energy, just like solar energy does not. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that there is a financial, and I don't completely understand. I mean, you can put a bunch of parentheses around who's behind this, but it's obvious there's financial interests, because otherwise this wouldn't make any goddamn sense. I will go really quickly. I'll go through the rest of my notes if that's okay. On the weather, and just to explain some of this. A couple more things about bullshit. We went over the 97% consensus is bullshit. That was also Legates, which is from the university. He was the University of Delaware's Climatic Research Department's director. Analyzed the same meta-analysis that I just mentioned earlier about the 12K meta between 1991 and 2011, and found that actually only 1% of scientists in the 12,000 papers assessed made a definitive claim that climate was directly a man-made result. So, for example, we hear that Greenland, the ice shelf has fallen off, such as in Antarctica. that's not true. Greenland, the Viking burial grounds in Greenland are still under permafrost. I keep talking up the show that I fucking love called Fortitude, which is awesome. Because we hear about the polar bears are all dying, right? The polar population has remained between 20 and 25,000 since 2000, and it's actually gone up since the 1960s. In fact, if you live in Svalbard, of Norway, the people in Svalbard have to carry rifles around with them because there's so many fucking polar bears. Like, that's a part of living in Svalbard, Norway. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't a kid get killed recently by one of them?
Probably, because they're all over the fucking place. Although the sea level has risen over about 400 feet over the last 20,000 years since the last major ice age, since our mini ice age, which ended in 1870, as I stated, it's only risen 8 inches. And in fact, it stopped rising in about 1997. And they have no explanation, or excuse me, 1990. They have no explanation for why the water has stopped rising and the climate has stopped massively rising. It's been like just little tiny bits. But this is the thing I wanted to get to about the idea of the hurricanes being racist or what the fuck ever. Is that here's the important shit. We have had the same number and intensity of hurricanes that have occurred between 1940 and 1970, as did occur between 1970 and 2004. That's source Patrick Michaels. The global frequency of category 4 to 5 hurricanes has had a small and insignificant decrease, and the percentage, meaning like percentage of 4 to 5 category versus 1 to 3 or 1 to 3 category hurricanes, has had a very small and insignificant upward trend. What this means is that there's been no fucking change in the amount of hurricanes, but it gets better. Cyclone energy has been on a downward trend consistently based on the number of hurricanes and cyclones, the strength, and the duration of cyclones worldwide. I believe by the time of me stating this, it was, well, until the current one, Irma, it was like 145 months without landfall of a hurricane since William in 2005. And of course, landfall is defined when the eye of a hurricane hits the land. So it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters other than if the eye actually hits land. Mm-hmm. That has been, since 2005, the longest period of time without landfall of a hurricane since the NOAA Institute, which is the Natural Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has been registering and keeping track of hurricanes since 1851. I rest my case.
My eyebrows are nearing my receding hairline. What can I say?
Al Gore not so tough after being raped.
Well, look, about the whole global warming thing and all that. I mean, I don't know. I think it seems like a lot of bullshit. I'm just curious as to who's benefiting. That's all I care about, because it just seems prima facie like it's a bunch of bullshit. It seemed prima facie. When was this Inconvenient Truth film? When did it come out? Like 15 years ago now. At this point, I mean, a while ago, right? And I don't. I think it's all bullshit. But changing the topic completely in a completely different direction.
Yeah, I just wanted to get my stupid
talk about YouTube drama. Tell us about this YouTube drama. He said,
yes.
What do you want to talk about? About Vox Day? What was going on there? I have no idea what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so I was recently getting caught up with this because people were talking about it. It's like a convoluted story of multiple things happening at once. Mm-hmm. So Andrew Anglin on Gab had posted something about Heather Harris, right?
That's sorry. Could you just give a little background to Anglin?
Yeah, Daily Stormer has been getting his shit kicked in from all the registrars and service providers because they don't want to host his content. Right. And so he was posting about what happened in Charlottesville. He made some kind of post. I may be telling this wrong, but this is my understanding of it, about her on Gab. Gab got a takedown notice about it. This started some kind of a confrontation or, I guess, back and forth between him and Vox Day, where he had basically thrown out and other people had thrown out that Vox Day was a pedophile. Now, Vox demanded that Gab give him their IP addresses so he could sue them for defamation. What makes it so interesting is Vox Day, in responding to people on his own blog, had said, if you don't like somebody, if somebody says something and labels you a certain way, just call him a pedophile. Fuck it. So, I find it hypocritical. Well, why is Vox Day upset? Yeah. Why does he want to sue Andrew Anglin if he's telling people to do the very fucking thing that Andrew Anglin did to him?
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah,
he went on to a live stream. They had a debate, right? And at the very end, Anglin asked him, "You would burn down Gab over this?" And Vox Day had said, "I would burn down everything for you attacking."
Jesus. Well, yeah, I mean the hypocrisy of it obvious, you know, and it, quite possibly if Anglin's up to speed on what Vox Day is putting out there, it's possible that Anglin got the idea from Vox Day himself. You know, when
I would love to hear that argued in court. I was taking his advice and doing what he asked me to do. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to call him a pedophile. Vox Day told me to call him a pedophile because he said I was racist.
No, it just seems like schoolyard bullshit. What I find troubling about the whole Daily Stormer thing is that Google stole the I don't know what it's called, the computing thing that allows him to have a website.
He just needs to get his own private servers. I'm kind of like, Anglin, how stupid are you? Just get your own private servers.
Yeah, but
I mean,
the thing is, go ahead, Mauritian.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 32-year-old man without a driver's license, so it does raise questions, doesn't it?
I just think if you're gonna, I mean, I'll say this honestly. I think the Daily Stormer was hilarious. It was, you know, it is, I guess, a quote hate website. It was very funny, but if you have thick skin, they're not very nice to women. But look, like, I don't mind being made fun of. It doesn't bother me. So
I'm glad you're of that opinion because the chat is lighting you up.
Oh, I love it.
Get fucking
No,
destroyed.
Okay, you know, long-term follower of yours, I don't mind being called a hole, and it doesn't fucking bother. I think it's funny, but no, that shit doesn't bother me. He needs to get his own fucking servers because people aren't going to. No one's going to support him now. Not in this climate. Just get your own fucking server. It's not that hard. Come on.
No, but I agreed. He should have gotten his own server and done it himself. I mean, it's not that complicated. And
Well, they're taking the domain. I mean, he's getting fucked at a level he can't fight against. If nobody like GoDaddy won't deal with him, Google won't deal with him, all the other providers won't.
Google took his domain, didn't they?
That is the biggest. That's the only issue I actually have is that Google took his domain. That they essentially put it in jail. They stole it.
So what's to stop them to doing it to anybody else? I mean, shit. Why don't they do it to the Republican Party for that matter?
Well, there's nothing to stop them, is there?
There isn't. You know, that's the point. I mean, one of the things that bothers me, I keep hearing this shit about moral panic, right? It's all moral panic. You know, all this shit is gonna blow over, blah blah blah. But my thinking is that, see, over the years, look. When I was in college in the early 90s, there was this SJ shit going on, right? SJW shit, rather, going on. And here we are, closing in on 3 decades after that, okay? Now, all those people are in corporate positions, and they believe this shit. They think that this is how it is, especially over the last 3 decades, 4 decades, where the society in the Western democracies has become so stratified. Because you have the top 1% and that 20% service class at the top of the socioeconomic ladder. The service class of the 1%, you know, the lawyers, the doctors, the personal trainers and interior decorators and all that, those fucking people, all those people in the media, right? Those people are completely divorced from the reality of the 80% of the population. Now, those people were indoctrinated with all this SJW moralistic crap, and they are now in positions of power. Okay, and they are exercising that power, and they are, like, for instance, taking the domain of the Daily Stormer, where everybody's like, "Oh, they're neo-Nazis," you know. But you're breaking the law. You are stealing something that doesn't belong to you. How can you justify it? Justify it just on a moral basis? And my thinking is, we are not in a moral panic. This is the new normal. This is the new state of affairs, and it's a kind of insanity that has me extremely fearful, because this insanity, you know, okay, the Daily Stormer, we don't like them, and then it's and Stormfront, and then it's, you know, Vox Day, and then it's this guy, and then eventually the window of what is allowed becomes so narrow that everything becomes forbidden. I'm not articulating properly what I want to say, but I hope that you guys are understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm understanding.
Mm.
Are you agreeing, or think I'm full of shit?
my take on it as far as what the new normal is. I mean, I've covered this myself, talking about where I think things are going. It's not. It goes beyond like the Daily Stormer. I think people are fine with what's happening to England because they think it's just, oh, he's this evil Nazi. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
But Google's already overreaching. I mean, they already were threatening a website that had a news story written by James Alsop from a year ago, and they told the website, if you don't take that, if you don't take that news story down, we're removing all AdSense from your website. So you know, it goes back to what I talked about in one of the videos after Damore's memo came out, where, you know, the new tactic is to deplatform you, demonetize you, and deperson you, basically unperson you. We're going to remove your ability to make money, so it demotivates you from wanting to continue. We're going to deplatform you and remove you from, you know, websites and services that would help spread your message. And we're going to deperson you by basically shitting on who you are and not giving you any chance at responding to it. So Alsop, because he went to Charlottesville, Google, I don't know, for whatever reason, somebody at Google didn't like that and decided to pick this particular website and say, if you don't remove that article and get rid of this guy, you're fucked. And, you know, if people think it's going to stop with England and people like Alsop, they're out of their fucking mind. It's going to, you know, it's going to be, how much can we push it? You know, death by 1,000 cuts, little by little, right? You don't turn into some kind of fucking Orwellian nightmare by just going on TV tomorrow and saying, I'm the fucking Antichrist and I want to shit up your lives. You do it little by little. You know, you make people get used to it. You make them get accustomed to getting fucked in the ass. So when they're getting
boiling frog,
right, exactly.
Well, the thing that they did to Jordan Peterson is, I mean, all respect to the guy, he's never said anything that can be remotely considered obscene or even pushing the envelope. I mean, everything he's saying is fairly mainstream. I mean, fairly. He is very articulate in what he says, but nothing that he is saying is like outlandish or outrageous like the Daily Stormer. And he got I mean, unpersoned. He was just, you know, throw it out of the window. And on top of that, they denied his appeal. They only reinstated him because he was such a big deal. You know, and if they're doing it to him, shit. You know, when I get upset about stuff, I become completely inarticulate and I sound like a fucking idiot. And so that's basically what's happening to me right now. I mean,
you're fine. Your point's coming across. I think most people are in agreement with that. I mean, I don't think that my concern with this and where it's going is I like humor, regardless of where it's coming from. I like funny shit. And humor always, you know, courts edginess. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Has to.
And as we get rid of serious speech, where people are saying, you know, 1488 gas the Jews, it's going to go from that to fucking the equivalent of a knock-knock joke. It's, oh, you know, we got rid of the serious speech, but now we got to get rid of the playful speech. We can't let you make that joke. It's a little too edgy. It's a little too hurtful. You can't say that word in that context. And that's my fear of where it's going to go.
I agree 100%. And I think part of the thing, first of all, humor is a, what we call in communication, expectation violation or expectancy violation. Humor has to be like, I didn't expect that. That's why it's funny. Not all, but most. Hashtag not all. In part, though, also, if you are worried about racism or any other shit like that, if you make it into a joke, it loses any power it could have, right? If you are joking about, like, gassing the Jews in 1488, that stops being a powerful phrase.
Well, just look at Netanyahu's son. He's posting merchant memes on his Facebook account and pissing off the liberals in Israel. Netanyahu's fucking kid is saying that George Soros is the fucking devil of the world and giving Jews a bad name. And, you know, they're all upset because how could you post that image? Are you a Nazi? They're calling a fucking Jew a Nazi. It's crazy.
I saw on Gaff the other day, on NeoGAF, people calling Ethan Klein a Nazi for his whiteface video. The fuck? Like, they've called Dave Rubin a Nazi. They've called Milo Yiannopoulos a Nazi. They've called, Jesus, who have they not? What Jew have they not called a Nazi at this point? It's like any Jew who.
The thing is also by calling everybody a Nazi, you know, and a white supremacist or whatever, you know, it drives people to say, you know, I'm already a Nazi, you know, fuck it. I'm going to throw in I'm going to join the Nazis. I'm going to be a Nazi because I already am, you know, so fuck it. You know, what do I have to lose? I mean, it seems that by squeezing out the middle, the nuanced middle, you're just squeezing everybody towards the extreme. And By the way, I was surprised that the mainstream media finally is like saying that Antifa are a bunch of terrorists, and you know, I'm not in the U.S., so I'm not really following U.S. Mainstream media. But are they eventually realizing that Antifa are not to be fucked with and that they should be like stamped out?
No, that I think was a reaction to, you know, really blatant public footage of Antifa beating people in the streets. There was really no way for them to get around it. And that was like a day after they wrote these, you know, articles praising them as being the, you know, fucking second coming of the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Finding peace through violence. Yeah, I love that one, CNN. Yeah, so it's
Right.
so it's back to normal with those fuckers.
They had to change that headline. They got so much
Well, fucking
backlash.
A, they had to change it. It was insane. I
It
mean,
was.
who in his right mind wrote that copy? I'd like to know. You know, I mean, Jesus. But
yeah, no, they're. I mean, I just made the video. It's actually funny. I just made a video about this. And then the next one I'm going to do is on moral panics, the second half of it. But no, the mainstream left cannot condemn Antifa, even though they're doing it now. But I'm telling you, the little bit they're being like, oh, well, that was kind of bad, the thing that they did when they beat an old man, or they were attacking a guy in a wheelchair. That wasn't really great. They're going to turn back on that. And the reason why is because Antifa is politically aligned with the mainstream left. They agree and they believe in the same things. They have the same goals. They're just their militant arm. And when you turn the mirror to them and you call them alt-left and you say Antifa is the same as you, even if that's a shitty term, it makes them recognize on some level that they agree with Antifa more than they would like to admit. And that's why you can't insult Antifa. They will not attack Antifa. They will not talk honestly about them. So, you know, it's basic Toshville and Turner 1974 social identity theory, Allport 1954, Cohen 1973. Jesus, it's everything.
Well, yeah, I think what we're kind of witnessing right now is the mainstream media and maybe left and liberals are, I think, taking the wrong approach to what they see as a problem. They want to silence the means of radicalization, but in turn, that's radicalizing people. You know, it's a lure of the unattainable. If you tell somebody they can't have something, they want it, even if it's not something they would truly actually enjoy. If you remove these kinds of people and remove what they're able to say, I know I'm kind of jumping back to what we were previously talking about, but when you take that away from them, they want access to it because now it has a mystique to it. So when you're going around and you're shutting down these websites and these people and saying, you know, they're too dangerous, what they say is too dangerous, we can't let you hear it. Now suddenly I'm interested. Maybe I wouldn't have been before. You know, you have all these, you have all these people on the left. I think a good parallel would be in Europe, like in Germany. You can't question the Holocaust. I mean, there was a lady who was just recently sentenced again to, is it 10 years in prison? Because
she's 88.
She denied the Holocaust. Yeah. If you really want to have a conversation and convince people that the Holocaust is completely legitimate, all the numbers are completely legitimate, the worst thing you can do is silence people that disagree with that.
Yes.
Let them talk. Fucking have an argument about it. But if you try to take away the means of people being able to argue the point, you're going to make people think something is going on. You're going to make them want to look at the other sources that you're so scared that they're going to look at. And I think I think the left and the mainstream media is going to learn this lesson the hard way going forward with their internet censorship, with their narrative building. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think we're going to see a lot more extreme viewpoints in the next decade compared to what we have right now. And as far as Antifa, a bunch of skinny jean wearing fucking gelato drinking pussies that attack trash cans. And I think they got embarrassed because they got their shit kicked in at Berkeley and other places. And so they felt they had to step it up and get violent because they were being made fun of by fucking everyone at that point.
Oh yeah, just a bunch of losers. But the thing is also, you say that it's because you know the attraction of the forbidden. But I think it also has to do with, you know, if you are forbidden from saying certain things, even saying them, even entertaining them, then you start to believe that that might be actually the case, that it actually might be true. If you are not allowed to say that, then you find yourself in the position of saying, well, that's what I sort of believe in, but now I can't say it. So, and that kind of strain on people drives them towards holding on to those beliefs that might, in a climate that was not so repressive, people would realize, oh, you know, this is a silly belief, whatsoever the belief may be, whatsoever the radical extremist belief might be on either the left or the right. I mean, we all know of right-wing guys who are believing all kinds of crazy shit. Because if you mention it, everybody's like, oh, you can't say that, and everybody falls on them like a ton of bricks, and so they wind up, you know, well, why can't I say this? And they tend to start to believe it, even if under normal circumstances they wouldn't believe it. And the same seems to be happening with Antifa. So
could I explain the psychology a little bit?
Go.
This is what's called psychological reactance.
Mm-hmm.
I see people call it the Streisand effect. That's not
Right.
That's part of it, but the actual theory is called psychological reactance. It's very simple. You can go back to children. You tell children, fucking don't push the button. What do they want to do more than anything is push the button. It's psychological reactance is a perceived or realistic removal of a freedom that is possessed by the individual. So whenever we perceive a freedom is removed, we want to reinstate or enforce our own freedoms, you know, in any way that we can. So part of that is, well, it's going to make people more interested in these things that you're telling them, no, you can't look into that. You can't talk about that. You can't think about that. It's going to make you more interested in it because of how psychological reactance works. This is a very basic tenet and principle of human psychology. Moreover, when you make information damnable like that, it creates a stigmatization. And what happens in stigma is that stigmatized groups tend to come together in private. They do not discuss this shit in public. What happens is a lack of communication. As a result, is a lack of communication between groups. And we're seeing it on both sides. And when there's lack of communication between all groups, it means intergroup conflict. That is exactly the psychology of what we're seeing.
So
yeah, I
basically,
can see that playing out like that. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, exactly what they're doing of trying to repress "quote unquote" fake news and all the rest of it, and all this Sovietization of social media and the Google platform, that's basically creating this extremism. That's what you're basically saying.
Yes. The more you try to hide and repress, the more people will be interested in it.
Right.
And if they're wondering, they're like, why are all these Gen Z people interested in right-wing politics? Well, I hate to fucking quote Paul Joseph Watson, but you've made it the counterculture, and the counterculture is always interesting
Sure.
to young people in particular. I hate to quote him on that, but he's actually psychologically right on that.
Why do you hate to quote Paul?
Because he's
Paul
the fucking
Watson?
meme. I like him. I love him, actually, but he's a meme.
No, I think he's hilarious, but I thought that he had left YouTube, but he's not left YouTube.
Oh,
I don't
came back after a week and did like a little fucking guess who's back thing. And I was like, no, you don't get to say I'm leaving YouTube forever and then come back after a week. And
he's such a whiner. He's so whiny. It's like a lot of the mainstream right. Like you look at that Dinesh D'Souza. Like I swear, guys, Democrats are the real fascists. I swear. Like
no.
embarrassing.
He's so wrong. I read his entire book, and I liked it.
Which book?
It's good.
The Big Lie. The Big Lie. I liked the historical parts until he got to the end where he started to be way hitting home on the idea like, oh, the left are all fascists. No. They may use brown shirt, black shirt tactics, and by that I mean Antifa does. Which is that, like, whenever I say things like that in videos, I then have to put like a subtitle of I'm not saying they are fascists. I'm saying they are using the same tactics as the brown shirts because people can't understand the difference between that. It's his last chapter is complete nonsense. And he says, like, we need to remove fascism. No one's allowed to have fascist ideas. That's, you're allowed to have that opinion. I just don't agree. And I think if you consider yourself to be a free speech absolutist, you can't have that opinion, or you're not a free speech absolutist.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we've been going on for about 90 minutes, so I'm gonna call it a day insofar as this. And I just, yeah. Is there anything any of you guys wanted to say or sum up or anything before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, real quick, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
When you were on the Dick Show.
What's that?
You were on the Dick Show like 3 weeks before I was.
Yeah.
Dick asked you a question. Dick asked you a question about how many bananas you could reasonably shove up your asshole.
Oh,
Okay,
no. No,
okay,
it's not
we're
TJ.
not pausing right
Hang
away.
on.
We're gonna hear the answer to this question, please.
No, he answered it. But the thing is, Dick asked me, he was like, I don't know anything about Jim. And he's like, you know his channel. Fucking trucks. It's like, you know his channel. What should I ask him? And I said, I'll tell you exactly what I said. I said, I don't know, man. He's old school internet. You could ask him any question, like how many bananas could he reasonably shove up his asshole and probably have a decent conversation. So what did he ask you? How many bananas you could reasonably shove up your asshole? That was not my fault. Yeah.
No, Masterson was pretty. Masterson was pretty fun. I had a
He's
good
great.
time on his podcast. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that was the question that was asked, quote, by me, though. I did not actually phrase it that way.
Well, it's a question everybody wants to know after TJ, wowed us with his banana fetish.
Really,
God.
it is a good
Oh, God.
question.
Hey, can I ask you for a psychological viewpoint on what would possess a man to strip completely naked and pour hot oil on his balls and then send that video out to people?
How real do we want to get?
Autism of the highest order.
Yeah, extreme autism, probably.
I'm just curious about that, because
What would-
it's pretty fucking extreme, isn't it? That's boiling oil he's pouring on his junk.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure, but I would imagine it's a lot because I'm not an analytical psychologist. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm a social psychologist, which is bullshit, retard science. But I would imagine that's around the same reason that someone would leave their camera on while they're masturbating, while getting ready to play video games.
You think he pulled a DSP, do you?
No, he did not. That was intentional.
I just my favorite clip, and I think if you look on YouTube, you might still be able to find it because they found a way to cut it to make it hidden. Because TJ was on CNN, and they take the interview with the CNN anchor, and as they ask him a question, it switches over to TJ pouring oil on his nuts and shoving it in.
Oh my fucking God.
That thing has two components. One is the burning oil on your balls, and the second is posting it. I mean, how does this happen? How does it, it's a two-step of insanity as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
but the real trick, as far I think, is that he's somehow survived. I would die of embarrassment. I would not survive the embarrassment of that.
I have to give it to him on that. Yeah, he has come to terms with it, and he does not seem to shy away from talking about it.
He embraced it, which is the only way you can deal with that kind of thing. If you, for whatever reason, do something that embarrassing and cringy and terrible, you have to accept it.
No, yeah, he completely embraced the cactus. I mean, fucking embraced the cactus. He went ahead and just married the cactus and just, set him up in a nice ranch house, out in the suburbs,
I think I think that's all you can do. No, it's the only thing you can do. You have to be like, yeah.
Yeah, he's a better man than I am. I would not survive psychologically that. But the thing is, posting, anything on the internet is forever. Posting that shit. Why on earth would anybody do that? I've never understood that. I've never.
My understanding is he was trying to send it to a girl he knew, and she thought it would be funny to share it with the world.
What? Yeah, because that's how I convince my women. I send them, video of me burning oil on my balls, and it works every time.
I'm sure the message
knocking on my door.
Yeah, that really gets them wet, doesn't it? Pouring fucking oil on your balls. Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure the message attached that he sent to her was, "You see how much I love you. I can put up with your shit. I can even scorch my own balls. So that must mean I'm a loyal boyfriend."
Good boy.
Oh God, did she send back a video of her getting rounded by Jamal or something? Like, that just sounds so fucking appropriate.
I'm sure she sent back a smiley face winking or some shit right before she spread it on the internet.
Or maybe it was one of those little smiley poos that, oh God.
Oh, the smiley face shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Sir Patrick Stewart. Jim, pull me a hole before we leave, because I think that would make your chat happy.
Okay, well, then shut the fuck up, hole. Nobody wants to listen to climate data. You're boring the chat. What the fuck are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you, Daddy. I appreciate it.
There you go. Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Oh God. Okay. Well, on that note, let's call it a.
now the chat's going nuts.
Okay. Yeah. So listen, guys, I'm gonna call it a stream, as it were. And thank you so much for having done this stream with me. This is the first time I'd hosted one, and I was actually, I have to admit, I was pretty nervous about doing it. So thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, and hopefully we'll do it again. And yeah, we'll less climate data and more hot oil on the balls kind of stories. Okay, so this is Coach Redpill. I'm signing off for Immersion Struggles, Mr. Metokur, and Aiden Paladin. And thank you so much for listening. Talk to you soon.